Yeah. Toro, bass junkie, cut through it. Yeah. 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 Group chat jumping, same old drama. Screenshots, think pieces, recycle karma. Timeline loud, but the truth sound quieter. Mute half the world, now my head feel lighter. Crypto bag small, but the brain compounding. DCA faith when the chart flatlining. They sold dreams, Lambo win a month, quick flip. I want land, less rent, more ownership. AI talk at the table, late takeaways. Who code the rules, who choose the maze? They want our face, our voice, our data. We want our time back sooner, not later. Through the noise, let it fade in the background. Talk your talk real low, still surround sound. Same cold world, but the kettle stays on. My boy, soft light, deep chat, we just cut through the noise. Through the noise, let them scream in the scroll bar. We stay here long form, talking from the gold heart. Same my world, but we're calm in the void. Cup in hand, good friends, yeah, we cut through the noise.
Yo, and welcome to episode 4 of Cut Through the Noise, the weekly talk show where there is no filter, no censorship, and we just basically break down the latest and greatest things that have happened here this week in crypto. Not always the greatest, but hey, we keep it real. So without further ado, let's pass it over to my wonderful co-host, as always, Mr. CEO himself, Toro. How are you, my man?
I'm good, man. It's that time, man. It's time to get that weekly breakdown of all the ups and downs of this thing we call Web3. Live from the trenches. It's Toro and Bass Junkie. We about to give you guys a raw, uncut, unfiltered, straight to the point about the real alpha that's going on in your ecosystem. So, man, I'm just happy to be here once again, episode 4, and to many more, definitely.
Cheers to that. But yeah, so this has been a jam-packed week. Yeah, there's never a dull day in crypto. I mean, let's start with some of the highs. There was FarCon in Rome, the
Yeah.
Farcaster event. I think this is the third year running. Farcaster fam descended onto Rome, Italy. Even Rish flew over across the pond to make it over to the Italian brothers, Limone. He's head of the Builder Garden. But yeah, everything I've seen for that conference has given me mass FOMO. So those Farcaster builders, they know how to get down. So yeah, big FOMO there, and then of course also consensus going on in Miami. I know that's more your neck of the woods. Were you able to head on over, or are you heads down building?
I actually just got back in town. I left town for some work over the weekend with a private client developing their quant trading system. I can't really talk too much about it, but yeah, man, I just got caught up in that. But I do see like now Luca from Pudgy Penguins is calling all founders in my city to link up in Miami. So I got sent that, so RSVP for that. Yeah, so it's gonna be a lot. Well, my city always has crypto events, but it looks like some big. We were wondering where the events were gonna come, or are they gonna come this year? And they're starting to like sprout out. So I'm like very fortunate to see this thing happen and unfolding overall onshore in the US, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, right place, right time. I think so. Living in Portugal, obviously, like all the hype for like East Denver or getting over to Art Basel, any of this stuff, it's like a proper commitment. It's when I went to San Fran last year and to base camp, and both times it's a full day of travel, like 21 hours. It's a commitment each
Yeah.
way. So to be there and just be like, okay, look, I'm going to take a day, just so, pop over to an event like this afternoon.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But also, well, I mean, two avenues to go down. Portugal, the scene is popping. It's actually establishing itself. Lisbon up north, it's about 2 hours drive for me. It's establishing itself as one of the AI hubs in Europe, which is I love to see. They have the teams. They have a talent protocol team over there. Shout out to Pedro, who's leading that up, and then also Luna Strategy. They have an incredible building, and they have like a really good like hosting space, and they've been hosting more and more AI events, really pushing forward the AI narrative in Lisbon. It's great to see people flying into Portugal for it. And then next month we have the non-fungible conference summit, NFT summit, which is also in Lisbon. So yeah, I mean, it's we're starting to get more of these events happening as well, which is a very exciting time overall. But I did want to, because you mentioned Luca, and it sort of triggered another post he made recently. Now, did you see what happened with the? Did you see the Subducks news?
No.
Do you
What do
remember
you
this?
mean?
Do you remember Subducks, the NFT collection in 2021?
Yeah, of course.
So they were quite a big collection. Interesting IP. I remember I remember buying a Subducks for like an ETH back when that was just like
Yeah.
the ETH was just flowing in and out, and just NFTs were just it was the season. Good times. But anyway, as most NFT collections, most kind of faded into
The
nothing.
abyss.
The
Yeah.
abyss, exactly. If anyone in from that era looks at their wallet, it is a graveyard of could be projects. And
It was a story to be told in those graveyards, man. There's a story to tell in those wallets, man.
oh man, yeah. If those JPEGs could talk, but but anyway, so there was talks of a CTO for Subducks, and dead project. Nothing's happened for over a year, maybe even 2 years. Someone from the Bored Apes community wanted to CTO it and revive it, like put in the time, put in the effort, and this is what sort of brings me to like Luca. Basically, it looked like it was going to happen, and he announced it. He's like, "Hey, I'm talking to the Subducks team. They're down to like a CTO. Fantastic." It turned out they wanted 6 figures for the IP, and the guy basically said, like, "Look, I'd have to get a loan on my house to do this. It's too high risk to put all my eggs into that basket, so it's not for me." And Luca, he tweeted about it saying, "Look, at this point, anybody who's willing to put any amount of time and money to revive a dead IP collection, like they shouldn't have to pay for that. Like they're doing you a favor, giving you a way out." So I guess I want to get your point of view. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think that the Subducks team should just relinquish the IP for free?
Well, first off, I would definitely take the advice from some guy that has a track record of acquisitions and reviving projects and companies from the dead. Von Dutch, Pudgy Penguins, Luca's record. That's what he does. He may not build it from the ground up, but he damn sure sees the potential and eyes value, and he knows where
Takes
he
it to the
can
next level, doesn't he?
exactly. And a lot of people know that I was in that similar situation with a project not too long ago. I wanted to have a founder's position finally because I own the majority of the supply and wanted to help them. But what we're seeing is poor leadership. Poor leadership that can drive a whole community to the ground. Like you said, if somebody has that much passion and a vision that you recreated, and now looks like you gave up on it or have no interest after you extracted and did your thing, they're doing you a favor. They're doing you a huge favor, But it's always that spectacle in the back of people's mind of greed, that glimmer of greed, that if they are successful, that the original guys or the guys that are saying yes or no should get a definitely good cut. So I feel like it's a greed situation. They could have offered some type of form of position or some type of equity situation or a founder's position and start working. So I definitely feel that a lot of people will look at this as a bad move from their team, especially in the climates that now NFTs look like a thing of the past. NFTs look like they had their moment, it came and went, and that's not going to be the narrative that onboards or breaks through Web3 into the mainstream finally. What we're seeing is a lot of blowback, actually. The celebrity created coins, Iggy Azalea is facing a class action lawsuit. A lot of NFTs are getting retro hit right now. So we're not seeing no dynamic push or furthering of NFTs or that whole sector of Web3 as a whole. You know, it's just, I see just basically founders are still fighting to hold on to relevancy. Some that are trying to experiment and introduce new stuff, but they don't really have the tech savvy or the real or nearly the guidance or experience. So NFTs are in a hard bind right now. So I definitely feel that a CTO could have got the timeline chatting harder. Definitely get some bullish momentum behind it, but I think they're dropping the ball greatly by not trying to do something to get people to even look their way again.
Yeah, well said. I think as well, you know, when you have an asset that is driven by speculation and aura slash the feeling you get from it, like vibes. It's all
Yes,
about vibes.
the
You
vibes.
know, this sort of action where it's like the founders of the project are greedy or don't care about the community, that they're in it for the bag. It's like
Exactly.
I think you're going to see a lot of negative, excuse me, negative pushback, and just like people just be like, you know what, actually, they're not actually in it with us. They're not with the community, because it is in the community's best interest
Yeah.
to have motion, even if it's I mean,
Even if
energy
it's
and motion.
slow motion, is better than no motion, right? Some type of trigger, because at the end of the day, these communities still exist. They're just consisting of bag holders that can't offload their bag or do anything intrinsically of value with these JPEGs at this point. So the least thing you can do is keep the relevancy meter up, keep the project in a conversation loop, keep it rotating on a timeline of some sort. And if you fail to do that, you're basically flatlining the longevity of any chance of longevity for you and your community.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens. And see if any other projects get revived. Yeah, will they follow suit?
Mark
I'm
my
gonna.
words. This if this thing, and I do apologize to cut you off, base junkie, but you always get my mind racing when you drop these gems, man. Mark my words. There are if this starts becoming a thing now, CTO reviving great blue chips from the 2020 cycle, 2021, Little Lemon Friends, Crypto Mauries. It's a few that are obvious plays that were on the inner loops. I'm still in the Little Lemon Discord. Their founders are there. If you message something, they'll respond. Even and they've done over what 1,400 ETH in volume. But what have they recently done? The only thing they're waiting is for an acquisition deal. You know, they're
Yeah.
waiting for a Luca to pop up with new ideas and a bag full of money.
I was in a bit of a situation because obviously, so I have junkyard dogs.
There you
Junkyard
go.
dogs was a hot flash in the pan, 2,100 Ethan lifetime sales, but most of that was week one. Like we were like the hottest thing that week,
Wow.
and we invested so much into it, like capital wise, and sandbox lands, over $300,000 worth of game development, which I understand it's sunken cost, and I understand now AI can do a lot of that for just a fraction of the cost. So to value it at that isn't fair to anyone who's looking to buy it. But I did have some people in the community saying, "Hey, can we just have it?" I'm like, "Bro, like I worked like a full year in well longer than a year, like solo, because the team just bounced. Like when the money's not there, most people was like, yeah, I'm off.
Yep.
And some of them I get it, because especially if you're like breadwinner in your family, it's like, okay, look, the game is not good. I understand. Some people just like dipped as soon as they got the pay packet, but like really pushing it, giving everything to it. When people are like, hey, can I just have it? I'm like,
Yeah.
I I don't feel comfortable just like giving it to you, because I can still sell the sandbox land, but like, yeah, I was trying to like be reasonable, be fair, and say like, look, you can have the IP, you push it forward, just bring me on as like equity. I'm not going to give you the sandbox land because that's like an asset that can just be sold at any point, and there's got all these game builds on there. But if you get traction, then of course, let's work on a deal. And unfortunately, it just yeah, it didn't come to fruition.
All right.
But I feel like it was a bit of a slight different situation to the Subducks, because they were asking for the IP. Like, look, we want to push the brand, and I'm happy for someone to push my brand because it's something that I gave everything to, and just I couldn't give any more to that. I was the lighthouse keeper at the end, just
Right.
like trying to keep the light burning. But yeah, I would be interested to see if more NFTs from the golden era get revived and see if it actually like gives gives a catalyst to like price action.
We'll see, man. It definitely could be a theme. I definitely don't feel it's the right time. It's not the season for NFTs. So
Agreed.
anybody that's doing anything towards NFTs, just know that you're running through muddy waters, some choppy weather, and it's going to be stagnated for quite some time. If the blue chips are not pumping, NFTs
Well,
is
I
the
mean, I
last
mean,
thing.
say,
Go ahead.
saying that though, so CryptoPunks is not pumping. That's been around 30 ETH. 30 ETH has been sort of their floor and ceiling for the past several months. But
Yeah, quite some time.
I remember like beginning of this year, I was actually looking at a Bored Ape. Like I'm like, a sizable investment. It was the floor was about 5 ETH,
Mm,
and I was like, it's about 15K at the time, and it's like that's
it's kind of steep.
a bit too rich for my blood. Like I'm not I'm not that sold right now on NFTs. It'd be nice to have an ape again, but yeah, I don't really see it now. Floor on Board Apes, 11 ETH.
Hmm.
So a 2x in what 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah, it's really because like for example, like Ben.eth, right? You're seeing ape whales, ape enthusiasts seeing those huge discounts, quote unquote, and just rebuy and buying more into the collection, doubling down on their positions. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of the whales that have been speaking out on the timeline. They're posting that they're buying the board apes, and it's because they feel like they were on a huge disco. But I definitely feel that what goes up must come down. We might see some lower floors, but right now, people should be stalking Bitcoin to see if there's going to be a potential reversal, a potential dump. We're starting to get maxed out in these areas, and it's not sustainable. But as we climb higher and higher back, though, who's to say? We got the Hantara virus breaking out officially in 12 countries now. Officially, is no longer contained to a ship. We have the World War III still looking like a reality right now. Trump really dropped the ball on those last three ships that were going that coordination route. All three ships got hit and had to turn around. So we're seeing gas prices spike. There's a lot of variables on the floor that can affect the market. So I definitely will be weary and definitely watching this thing for a nice juicy dump. If I was a levy boy, if I was a perp trader, I think there's a good time to be stalking right now when everybody's starting to get comfortable. The timeline is starting to like ease on up. People are slightly throwing bullish statements on the timeline again. I think that's just the perfect time where,
I'm seeing it, man. I'm seeing like, unfortunately, the consensus is often wrong, and like, after talking to you, I feel like you keep me grounded, in the best way, because I feel like I'm impermeable. Yeah, I'm like bullish long term,
yeah,
and it's just it's important to have those deep breaths where it's like, okay, hey, hold your horses. It's
yeah,
not a bullish time. It's a preservation time. Capital preservation is key
right.
in this game. Are you familiar with this guy, Dr. Profit?
Yeah, I've seen him on my timeline.
Yeah, so he's pretty solid. He's had a few like historically famous calls now. He's almost 500,000 followers,
Hmm.
but I wish I was following him sooner. But he's been posting like, hey, like no one's expecting 80,000 weeks ago. I was the one saying it was coming. He took a long at 71. He's aiming like 83 to 85 region, and then he's saying like once we're at that sort of range, start building shorts because
Exactly.
yeah, Bitcoin is entering its final stage of the bull trap before continuing going down with force to new lows.
Yep. We're actually going to see new lows after this. It's coordinated on the charts where it's clear as day when you're looking at a 30-day or higher. you can clearly see that this is just a minor pump up, a relief rally that is only setting us up for further down. Just like I've always said, when we're in a bull run, things just don't go up. They have pullbacks, they have retracement movements. Same thing when you're dumping down, you're going to have spike ups. You're definitely going to have some premature relief. It's math. It's down to a science. So, Prophet is definitely on point when he says that, because he understands that we cannot sustain these levels. If you look at from a technical aspect, it's not realistic. It's not realistic, but we'll see how long they drag it out.
Yeah, honestly, it's an interesting position to be in, because I'm extremely bullish on certain tokens, like long term, like Tibber, for example.
Mhm.
Tibber and O'Day are like two positions that I feel like could catch fire at any moment because of the strong narrative. But when the market is beating down, it takes everything down with it. So it's
Correct.
like, do I? I mean, this is the same. This is the same dilemma I guess everyone has. It's like, do I keep the exposure for the chance for the upside, or do I, risk being sidelined for capital preservation?
I definitely always risk being sidelined because I can always jump in when I have a clear consensus of the true direction of the market. As long as I'm within that 10 to 15% range, even 20% range of the takeoff, I'm Gucci, because I know several months from now, I'm going to be glad I did, versus, YOLOing it, having these aspirations of Lamborghinis and a house full of girls and traveling the world, and you still in your mother's basement because you wrecked yourself,
Man,
So,
my wife would kill me if I had a house full of girls.
yo, yeah, well, until I get to that peak, I think I can still have those aspirations as long as I don't fumble the bag, honestly. Yeah.
Now,
No,
in some other news, so I saw it independently, but you did text me on Monday morning.
yeah.
The whole banker, Grok, DRB, the hack. So, talk us through your view on what happened, and yeah, your feelings on it.
Yeah, let's just address the elephant in the room. Somebody did a prompt injection with using Morse code for Grok to kind of solve and repeat and reply back with a command that triggered banker to empty their entire wallet and send it to the individual, which the individual gave back 80% because they didn't want any blowback, obviously because they have Twitter Premium.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, it's kind of diabolically genius, like the fact that they were able to do that. Send Morse code and say, "Hey, repeat this back to me in simple language."
They use
Um,
ChatGPT more than likely. They probably just, got the prompt, injected in the experiment. It worked. Problem
yeah,
solved.
I mean, genius might be the wrong word, but also what I thought was very interesting was that um, the MF community was able to track who actually was. So obviously, genius is the complete wrong word for this individual, because definitely like sloppy in not covering their their footprints. But shout out to the MF community to really like put the heats and put the screws on this guy to like actually feel like he had to give back, and then such a large amount, and then
I
just
don't
keep
know
like a
why.
bug bounty.
I don't know why he gave it back, honestly. As has been stated from the beginning, the DRB situation was experimental. That wallet was always going to be experimental. People have talked. I know, like Coinbase Duck commented under my tweet. He's not the only one that I saw months in advance saying, guys, this is a very risky situation. The technology is not even sophisticated enough for us to be trusting in it like this. So honestly, I feel like to the victor goes the spoil. He didn't scam anybody. He may have was gonna wreck a whole DRB community, but that community was built on stilts, man. A house of cards, a couple influencers locking in and leading the cows to the slaughterhouse in spaces for hours at a time when they know they had to use your bag. let's just keep it buck. Like, he should be rewarded that money, because what he did was like a white hack instead of a true hack. That was like a white hack. He exposed something that could have been way more catastrophic down the road. So instead of trying to prosecute this man, hunt him down, dox him, you should be thanking this man for making you wake up and realize you spent half of the year and change in spaces with other motherfuckers that were basing your hopes on an inanimate, non-true sentient being that did not know what the freak is doing, and is usually wrong half the time. Now, OX Deployer and his team, their response, I applaud him for how quick and fast it was. But he even admitted that they knew that this could have happened, and they even already had presumed security layers for that exact instance not to happen, but it still happened anyway. And now he's back to like tweeting other stuff. But I kudos to that team for responding the way they did to prevent this from happening, because I saw on the timeline so many copycats trying to do the exact same thing.
Yo, I see Justin join us. Yo, Justin, my man. His supporting Base Junkie and Toro. Builders support builders. But yeah, the whole situation, how it was handled, I think it was handled well, to be honest. The fact that there was such a hole in the armor, obviously, I would say that the vast majority of people didn't really realize that, like, because it was made to be known that it was, like, had hard coded rules not to do anything like this. But apparently it was like the latest update. So it was like since Grok was given a banking club subscription, it had access to more tools, and the latest update in agentic software basically was the thing that was like a rewrite, and the previous hard coded rules didn't copy to like the latest version, and so that it was like a perfect storm, perfect opportunity for the hacker to strike. It's you hate to see it. You hate to start the week to something like that, because I respect the community. I think that the concept is great. Grok has money. It has strong viral potential, but I think it's also a real eye opener / reminder that this is nascent technology. Even though it seems to have all the information in the world, and we go it for intelligence, it is still an infant with the world's knowledge in its brain, and it's just making sense of it. So yeah, it's definitely a good reminder.
Very primitive in its current state, man. The technology is still not ready for some big boy stuff like that. I know that's what we're aiming for, but and the guys that were orchestrating the Lord knew this, right? They knew this. So for everybody that was shocked, I would have just been looking at it as like it was an experiment. The experiment obviously failed, and to Banker, it wasn't a good look. But they got on it, patched it. Hopefully we can move forward. Hopefully we can move forward. That's all. But it's nothing more than just lore.
The timing of it is also quite interesting, because over the weekend, Emily's token went live, LeanFi, and for me, being a banker top 500 member, I got the little stimulus check. It was like $140 when I claimed it. I was like, okay, that's actually super based. I've spoken to people I respect who aren't deployer fans, and it's like, to each their own. I understand, different strokes for different folks. Everybody has an opinion.
I really don't know why. He's a cracked out dev. He's been shipping for a long time. I don't really see any. People have their discretions on the behind the scenes of price activities, certain key wallets, cash outs, but you can't tie anything directly to this man. I don't really understand what the riff will be about when it comes to somebody that's a definition of a builder for base.
Well, I think it's just that point about like the wallets, the cash outs, the tweeting about certain tokens. When you have such a platform, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. Talking about token as if it's like the first collab with Banker, the first something with Banker. It's like, oh wow, is he going to start pushing this? And then, you know, some wallets make off like bandits, and I guess, like, you know, it's suspected that he's doing some funny business. But
If you
that's
don't
not
think that the
that's not my
dev,
take. Just that's
yeah,
what the conversation, the other side.
yeah, but it's like it's no different from any other project. If you don't think the dev has a bag, a shit ton of his own project to cash out, you're insane. If Vitalik Buterin got away with it for several years with the Ethereum Foundation, why are you crucifying somebody that's trying to push the technology forward? You know, so I don't know, man. It's obvious they gotta pay their bills too. Now there's a thin line before when you're taking advantage of your community, when you're rugging, right? When you're pumping and dumping. But if you're giving tech, you're progressing the tech forward and providing some intrinsic value to the project in your community. I don't see nothing wrong with it. These ain't stable coins we're playing with, ladies and gentlemen. The price will go up and the price will go down. And if he didn't sell, somebody else will. It's just usually the complainers that are still sitting on their bags.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, I don't hold anyone against selling. You know, it pump and dumps. Yeah, fuck those. I think that's really like just poor form, and I think people get caught out for doing that. You're manipulating charts and whatnot. But where where deployer gets my vote, where it's like, look, you know, yes, maybe okay. Let's say he's been taking profits on charts. You know, this is crypto. We all have bills to pay, and you know how we make our money is, you know,
That's the open market, guys.
that's the open
That's the
market.
open market.
But where he gets my support for the long term is that deployer pretty much saved base in a big way, because there was a period of time after the Nick Shirley debacle when it was feedback season where base was like, okay, we're not going to be creator coins anymore, where we felt rudderless. And like, really, it's like, where are we? What is this chain then? Like, the Zora narrative was pushed so hard. It's like, okay, we've all sort of like try to work it into our businesses, try to, you know, just try and make it make sense because we believe in the bigger vision, but this is like the step to get to there. Fine, okay, we're all Zora creators, we're all doing this. Oh no, now we're not. Okay, now what? Now where are we?
Complete 180 now.
And then if it wasn't for the AI agent meta, like, you know, AI season 2.0, you know, I don't know where we would be. I think lots of people would
We'll
have
be
just
in a
left.
bad place. That's where we'll be. If you look at it let's just go over the last 2 years, right? There's always been a saving grace for base. Virtual protocol, aerodrome, and Moonwell situation, that whole basket of DeFi's. You had Clanker for a second. You had they tried the Zora. That was an epic fail. Zora was a fail, but that was the meta, the narrative for a while, right? And then we have Banker with the saving grace, right? So it seems that we're just bases is still coming out of the infant stage for such a big ecosystem to done the volume that it has done. It's still in the infantry. It's still looking at it as an infant compared to other chains, other historical chains. It's just a basic case of still trying to find your footing. You know, like Hyperliquid, for example, is a good example. They found their footing right out the gate. You know, is it becoming a one trick pony scenario? Yes. Are they finding new ways to flip that one trick? We're seeing that they're entering into the prediction industry, right? So I definitely feel that base is trying to position itself with this Asiatic economy, but they have to understand that they're also getting stacked against Ethereum, the core Ethereum dev team right now too, that's on the same pursuit. So base, I think that base saving grace at the end of the day will be Coinbase, and decentralized finance through Coinbase is going to be the blood pumper, you know. And Coinbase is doing the moves to preserve themselves, right? Like I said, and we've been talking for the last few episodes. This year is about survival, right? Self-preservation, right? Downsizing your company about 14% screams self-preservation, screams longevity, right? It's unfortunate for those that got cut, but they got that on their resume now that they were a standing employee, standing worker for Coinbase, whether it takes them far or not. This is the future, guys. Base is no longer being concerned with the human user at the end of the day. We went from creators, enthusiasts, builders to agents. And even agents now can pay for their own cloud service with AWS. I don't know if you saw that tweet. So, there is no real reason for me and you at this point, and this is my opinion. Don't take my word at it. I'm just a guy that's been here for 14 plus years at this point, 14 years and change. I think the 2028, 2029 bull run will be the last human influence or human focused bull run if we stay on this trajectory. When there's more agents on the net than there are human beings on this planet, we become the minorities online, right? And now that they're freaking the heck out of X402s to make agents way more self-sufficient and self-stabilizing, self-preserving, there is no real need for us anymore. It's about tailoring the internet to agents. And this has a lot of pros and cons to it. But I definitely see a future. We're seeing it now where one of our leading crypto exchanges and ecosystems tailoring the ecosystem to artificial intelligence. This will be a normalized thing, guys. There's no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, AI is the future. It's the inevitable. It for all its good and its bad. It's sci-fi times we're in / entering. So I my heart goes out to the people that lost their jobs. Obviously, it sucks. I think it's a good point that they do leave with Coinbase on their resume. So if they're looking to get another job, there is like where better to have a reference from. But also, I think with AI, I think we are sort of entering the age of the solopreneur. You can't get fired from your own business unless you're Steve Jobs. But but if it's never been easier, if you have an idea to execute, to go from 0 to 1, it's never been easier. So maybe this is like the kickstart to try that and step.
It's the new gold rush. It's a new .com era, but people have to understand that now that everybody, the playing field is equated, you may have $1 million idea, and what was stopping you was the skill sets and the resources, the provisions to make it reality. You have to understand now, you're now dealing with a whole planet of people that have million and $1 billion ideas, and some may even have the exact same thing. So this is equating the playing field, but you have to push more. You have to dig deeper. You have to create something that's easy to replicate. Because if I'm doing just prompting something, what's stopping the next person from just prompting the exact same thing and getting the same as any results at this point? And what's stopping both of us from getting clipped when the thing that we're prompting no longer needs us to prompt? It just proactively is creating and solving solutions. That's why this little glitch in time right now, where you're seeing people getting acquisition deals, their companies are getting acquired, people are getting paid hand over fist to automate pre-existing business infrastructures that are behind the ball. This is a limited time only special, guys, that you need to take advantage of, because I don't know where the footing of the labor force will be in the next several years. I had a friend just literally this week, let me see if I can find the text, literally tell me that their job just replaced them with AI. So this is not just happening inside of Web3. This is happening across the board. This is not just for crypto tailored or technological focused company. This is for across the freaking board, guys. Anything that AI can optimize, it will, whether you like it or not. Pandora box is open, and once it's open, it cannot be closed. That's just the reality of things.
Facts. I mean, to be honest, like for me, like in my IRL life, I mean, it's all one life, but I feel like in terms of where to put my time, where to put my energy and focus, it's like okay, it's either being at the forefront of this AI and AI movement, and even though I'm not the tip of the spear in our tip of the spear bubble, which is people on the bleeding edge of AI, I'm probably the most knowledgeable person in my friendship group, and like that consists of several entrepreneurs and business owners here in the south of Portugal who could do with the services. So it's either like, okay, do I push down that route to sort of help them, you know, implement some AI processes, or you look at what businesses are likely hard slash undesirable to be replaced. My wife, she owns we own a Montessori kindergarten. Like, okay, childcare. I don't care what AIs exist. At the end of the day, children need that human connection, and so I think that's I mean, touch wood. I feel like that's a pretty AI resistant business, and like looking at other businesses that could be AI resistant, going into the next 5, 10, 20 years. Do we even want to have some of these businesses replaced? Looking in that sort of like purview. But then also you mentioned that like when the AI can do the prompting for us, it won't need us. This is also one of the reasons why I'm really trying to up my game and like really focus on live streams, because yes, you can have ultra realistic avatars, but you know this is a real conversation, real opinions, stutters and all, a real human being. And I think that's what people connect with, especially as more and more content, especially like written content, is just like AI articles or slop. I don't read articles for the most part because as soon as I see that long hyphen, I'm like, this person's just whacked it into ChatGPT and given me a flipping essay. But live streams, I think, are a good way to stay relevant in terms of information flow, especially as lots of information is getting outsourced to AI.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's just becoming a standard regardless, even if you are a big influencer, micro influencers are becoming the pulse of this whole thing because we're moving to a point where everybody's on their phone, everybody's on the internet. People are using their Instagrams as a resume at this point. Jobs are asking for your social media handles at this point. It's no matter what, you have to be well put on the internet now. Image, having a good whereabout of yourself on the net, a good digital representation of yourself on the net is becoming more and more of value and more of an importance. We're definitely already seeing that AI influencers can work. We've seen AI musical artists do lots of streams and generate a lot of money. We definitely seeing that robots are becoming a huge push. When you can walk outside one day and see robots picking up your trash and walking dogs, and you're like a page out of the Jetsons. This is starting to become a reality, guys. So I definitely see a lot of jobs being replaced. I definitely see poverty levels rising across the globe, especially in first world countries where certain key jobs that were like putting food on the table will no longer need you anymore. I grew up in the generation where you had a garbage truck driver and two guys hanging off the back picking up trash. Now we're at the point where I see one garbage truck driver and he's controlling a robot arm that's picking up the
Wow.
trash. Tomorrow there won't be a driver because the vehicle could drive itself. So guys, look alive. You're seeing more self checkouts than ever. Now the self checkouts are automating other things now, managing the store. You got to look alive. What businesses are looking for right now is, how do I make more money? How do I save money? And how do I increase productivity? And if you can solve any of those, you got a job. So I
For
think
now.
this is the era of problem solving like never before, and new jobs, new needs will probably be introduced. You know.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic because back in the Industrial Revolution, when the tractors were invented, at the time everyone was a farmer, and then it's like, oh my goodness, they just laid off 90% of the workforce. What are people going to do if they're not picking carrots? It's like, well, it ended up leading to the next like revolution and just like leap forward because he had all this brain power onto the next thing. But will this mean that humanity, with all of our time and other skills, will we end up doing other things or creating other purpose driven points? Or when AGI comes and it's smarter than all of humanity, where like there's never been a situation where we're not top of the um intellectual hierarchy.
Yep. Yeah, man. Um, I don't know what those jobs will be. I don't know what new problems will arise, but I can tell you that if you're not making money or trying to make money online, you're missing out on huge, huge opportunities to the point that it's going to become a necessity. Um, the digital economy, the revolution will not be televised; it will be digitalized. Our economies are transforming through this technology. Fortune 500 companies are in bad positions from this renaissance of a new birth of technology embracement. Um, so I don't really know what the next turning of the page will be, but there definitely will be one, and I believe it's going to be online. You got to think about it. We're now in the conversation of another Black Swan event happening with a virus outbreak. Sounds familiar. Sounds like it happened a few years ago. You
I'm
know,
having deja vu.
yeah. So definitely, guess what happened in the last time this happened? People were on the internet more than ever, right? When you can't go outside, when you can't go to work, you're gonna be on these things. So the best thing to do is try to figure out and make yourself comfortable building a home online where you can self-sufficiently support yourself and through whatever means that be, hopefully ethically, because there's too much nonsense going on out here. So yeah, man, this is a very interesting time, and your kids and your kids, they're gonna grow up in a world where all these things will be normalized and just be a thing. I've chosen my focus. I know where I'm spearheading my team to focus on. I definitely see there's room to grow still, and that's what we're going to be tackling from here on out for a while. But there's going to be other opportunities. There's other gold rushes that are happening and forming right before our eyes. Information is the key to unlocking everything. Information can change your life. One conversation can change your life. Hearing one keyword that you've never heard before and typing it in your search engine can change your life. I'm living proof of it. So at one point you had to type, what the hell is Bitcoin online? Did it not change your life? What is crypto? Did it not change your life? What is Pooh shit coin, Obama, Sonic, Cleopatra? Like these things change your life. And I think this will be no different. Staying in the loop of information is key. Data. What did Elon Musk go for when he was the head of Doge for the US before he got kicked to the curb and moved out? The data. He got behind the scenes to see currently the state of our country and our trajectory. And he used that to his own benefit of his own vision of where he wants to take the world. Data is the oil of the internet.
Oh.
Bitcoin is gold. Data is oil.
Data is the oil of the internet. I like that. Bars.
Yeah, man. No, definitely. We have a lot of things unfolding in this market, and I'm just really interested to see how it goes. We're seeing some technological breakthroughs. We're seeing people restructuring Polymarket with their Cloud B2 update. Been a couple hiccups. Quite a few attacks on the platform with these ghost fills. People are draining, trying to clear that platform out. But You know, that platform's made of money literally at this point. So they've been fixing it. I really respect their dev team for what they're doing and how they're changing the face of pre-fi already. So I've been definitely keening in on that. RWA still have my attention. The uprise of robots and what companies can I invest into that are into robotics. It's a little bit ahead of the curve. Quant computing, quantum trading. You know, these are things you're going to hear more and more and more and more. Where do you see yourself in it? How do you put yourself to be positioned in this new world economy? How can you take advantage of this if you can't even go outside again? What would you do differently that you didn't do in the last time this happened? Right? What happens if WW3 pops off? You know?
Are you asking like a hypothetical to everybody, or are you asking to me?
Well, I would like for specifically your opinion on it. What do you see? But yeah, it's open for anybody that wants to comment on in the chat or whatnot.
I would focus on education, and just education, like homeschooling, for instance. So I actually have a background in teaching, and I own a kindergarten school. You know, I've got qualifications in teaching. This is like the career I had before crypto, and now I'm sort of like stepping back into this sort of like teaching management role. But the way I see education, present day education system is completely broken. I think it needs massive reform. The fact that I send my kid to a private school and he's doing, well, unspecial things, like, and the schooling system is kind of like the same that when I was a kid, same when my parents were kids, and it's like this whole teacher at the front of the classroom, sit down, get your textbooks out, and regurgitate this information, and oh, by the way, pay us private school tuition fee for this. It's like, well, twofold issues are twofold. One, this is not a premium service. Why are we paying anything for this? Like, this should be like public school if that is what the standard is. But also, two, regurgitating information is an obsolete skill. Obviously, memory retention, that's something that we should all have. But in this age of AI, it's preparing kids for positions that don't exist and certainly won't exist when they grow up. If I was to be locked in, I would continue with the crypto, continue learning, and just continue on AI shows like this. But then also really like focus on homeschooling my kids, and then also like creating content around that for other parents and other schools who perhaps want to do homeschooling and become a education content creator, and just like basically just try and figure out how how we can prepare our kids for a future so uncertain like never before.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad focus. You know, a lot of people look at one of the most dynamic, influential people in our space, CZ, Giggles Academy, right? He focused on building curriculums that advance the youth. Look at one of the biggest platforms out there right now, YouTube, right? These kids are not watching cartoons. I met a kid that didn't even know what a cartoon was. I started naming cartoons. He was like, "What are those?" He said, "I watch YouTube." And I'm like, holy shit. He's part of that generation of those babies I was watching playing with iPads. That's all they know is YouTube. And YouTube knows that. So what are you doing right there? You're having a hand in carving out the future, because children are the future, So if you can already have a following with them, a rapport with them, influence on them, you're having an influence and a connection to the world of tomorrow, So that's not a bad focus at all, actually. And it's kind of sad to say that public schools, at least in America, it's like commercial education's at an all-time low. The quality, these kids can't even get a free lunch anymore, and we know that a lot of kids are coming from impoverished homes where there's a lack of resource, and their only meal they could get was from school. And you're seeing that these schools are only training these kids to become good workers, worker bees, drones, slaves. They're not actually teaching them to think for themselves to deal with real world issues, taxes, right? Stuff like this. They're basically saying, can you retain this information long enough to apply it to a curriculum that says you're good enough to get to the next level, and that's it. And then when you throw in the mix that these kids are no longer even choosing to learn because they could just ask ChatGPT or Claude, or it's like now we're having the worrisome of putting people in future positions that are highly inadequate and highly underdeveloped and highly underskilled for prolific positions, which will only cause more reason to replace them with artificial intelligence. So it's a cannibalistic cycle that's being created through these education systems that will not be equipping kids to be sufficient as they get pushed out into the real world. That's just the point taken,
Nice word from Justin here. You're a great dad with an amazing soul, Base Junkie. Oh, dude. If I wasn't so stuffed from Chinese food, I'd probably cry.
It look like the Chinese food gonna make you cry either way, man.
Oh, bro, honestly, it's like up to my eyeballs. Like my whole family went to bed, and I was like, I can't cancel. But honestly, I love these conversations. It's very like thought provoking and like stimulating. A lot has happened this week. I'm actually going to be doing a Spaces tomorrow night. If you're around, definitely come by. I would love to continue the conversation and get opinions from other people. It's going to be at 8:30 my time. So we started at 9, so 30 minutes before that. So I guess it'll be 12:30 PST.
Okay.
If you're around, man, honestly, always bring the alpha, bring the raw takes, the unfiltered commentary, and just you haven't been shy to say that you think that the push down in price is over. Like I'm seeing other shows saying oh, we just passed 80K, we just passed 81K, 83K, we're so back, baby. And it's like I want to puff on that hopium. I want a little sip, a little. Come on, take me there. Let's get to the promised land. But I've believed too many times. I've been hurt. Shout out Mumville. Reminder all set. I look forward to seeing you on the show tomorrow. But yeah, I do believe there could be more pain this year, especially with all the uncertainty, seeing the layoffs. I want to try and make the case that it could be bullish, but it's not bullish for the people that lost their jobs. And if it's just one such instance, more people losing jobs, less liquidity in their pockets, they're gonna be fine for a little while with severance and whatnot, whatever the position. But there's just gonna be less jobs for humans.
Yeah, exactly. The summer's cooked, and I don't mean it because of the heat. So, but we'll see. I'm not trying to strike fear or flood anybody's bags. I know people always damn, I'm starting to embrace Toro being the villain of Web3 at this point. Because it's basically I'm just that old dude on the porch telling the young kids to stay out of the street, and they just
man, you can be the Joker to my Batman.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, so it's all good. But it's like, man, I try to move, especially now than ever, in the step and under the legions of logic. I need some things to unfold to prove that I'm not just making a degenerate gamble, that can affect me and my loved ones, and we could use that money and those resources elsewhere. So I'm gonna tread lightly until Q4. I'm still doubling down on my position and my statement. This is a bear market. They could say 85 tomorrow. I'm still screaming. They could say 94, and I'm still screaming bear market.
What's the confirmation break where it's like, okay, actually, you know what, we're back to bullish territory?
104 to 106. That's when it's like you're just retarded, and something's definitely happening right now at that point. But
sorry, if we get past 100, if we get to 104, are you going to say publicly, we're so back, baby?
Yeah, I have no problem. I've been wrong before. I remember trolling CZ under 6 when Bitcoin was like at 10K, and that night it jumped to 16, and it never went back to 10K ever again. I remember those days. So it's like I've been wrong before, but you if you learn from your mistakes, it increases your predictability for the next scenario. And this is a bear market, rinse and repeat. We're still getting stuck to the 4-year cycle rules and laws that everybody has to abide by. you know um I'm embracing it for what it is. So yeah, and I would love. It's not like I want a bear market. I would love if the streets were painted in gold. Why not? I could just close my eyes and just throw money at anything at that point. But in reality, that's not the climate that we're in. And I would be very weary of those that are trying to get you bullish. Remember the actors and actresses of this time in the specific time frame of the year that are so bullish, that are telling you to get back into the cockpit, that are telling you that we're going to fly high. Watch when things crash and burn. And remember me. That's all I can say about that.
Speaking of crashing and burning, let me just share one tweet that I just didn't want to see it. 'Cause I want the hopium. Like, yeah, take me to Neverland. Let's go. But did you see Jim Cramer?
We are no longer over. Oh my! Like that first opener, I'm selling positions. I'm like that. Hey, no way overbought. So it's possible we can rally once more, led by compute, AI, and financials, and even travel and leisure and manufacturing on the Middle East rebuild. Is he like in a
uh,
bubble? Like, is he in a Twilight Zone era?
Honestly, man, the anti Kramer is a good source of truth. I love this meme. I had to like share it. Yeah, like
If
oh
Psyop was a person, bro, it
oh
would be
yeah
Kramer, bro. It would be him, bro. Like if Psyop was a person, his face would be right there in the dictionary, just like this, like
oh bro, he's like chronically wrong. Like you think like even a broken clock is right twice a day, but he is just
this is
uh
madness. Uh, if you literally did the exact opposite of Kramer in just the last year, you'll be up over 360% in your portfolio. If you just literally like because we have like autopilot and this thing called inverse Kramer, where basically it's programmed to do the exact opposite of what he says. Just do exactly the opposite of what this man says. I this is madness. How many years this has been going on? It's like
I don't know.
it's so mimetic.
It's kind of hilarious. It's hilarious that he has like a finance show, but just like coupling it with Doctor Crypto, sorry, Doctor Profit, who says like 83, 85. That's when he's going to start taking some short positions, closing his longs. Right now we're at. I think we touched 83 yesterday. Just refreshing my CoinGecko, um, and oh shit, we're down to 79. That's it. We were at 83 yesterday.
I'm sitting here
Boom.
with Base Junkie looking at his beautiful face instead of placing my shorts. I was hoping we was going to pace around like 85, 86 and flatline. We'll see, man. We could still bubble up. And, but like you should be stocking your shorts here. Like the higher we go, the harder it crash, man. It's like a 45 or $42,000 Bitcoin is becoming more and more of a reality. And I don't know how people are not seeing this, but you ask anybody from my era, 2012 and around that range, they're like, this is easy street. We're talking about a 40K Bitcoin when we were starving and it was at $1,200, So this is still easy street for those that got in before. We're still in profit. We're still in the green, but you know how much money got left off on the table that got taken off just by sitting and holding. These type of things do
I know, man.
happen.
I know. I think everybody in the room knows. Yeah, like the problem is that we all remember our highest time we've seen our portfolio. Like even if it was a second, a pump in one of our tokens. Yes, this is going to keep pumping. Great. I'm at this figure now. I'm worth this amount. You check it the next time, you're down $100, down $1,000. Okay, well, and then it's like, okay, now I'm down significant. It's like you always mentally screenshot the highest amount, and that's yeah. There's always
And so that's the curse right there. When you're screenshotting instead of cashing out, that was literally your signal to get the freak out the way. But
dude.
the
Yeah.
screenshot just value is so much more valuable than the actual dollars in your bank account. Like, that was the young me right there, bro. That
Well,
was
I mean, not doesn't always have to be like the screenshots because I'm not really a flexer, but like I mean, apart from in at the beach, but like
hey,
but the just like mentally, just like looking at your wallet, and like,
mhm,
okay, I'm worth this amount, and
mhm.
then going to bed, waking up the next morning, it's like I'm not worth that amount anymore. I'm like, and then just we get fixated on the high point, and I think this is one of the reasons why crypto is not for everyone because it's the only profession that I can think of. I say profession loosely, where you are always wrong. You're always a degree of incorrect. You can never
Yeah,
be right because you never time the bottom, you never time the top.
yeah,
It's always you're just dealing just in percentages. Like, just am I going to be right more often than I'm not? Then I'm going to be wrong, and
yeah.
I going to capitalize on those times, like being right? Yeah, am I going to take profit with size on like good calls to mitigate the losses, the many losses of being wrong and lose small, win big kind of mentality?
100%. Like for me, that's why I always think in ranges. If you're within 10 to 20% of the range of direction, you're good. The closer to 10%, the better. The lowest end is watching around 6-7% movements of an inverse. But really the focal point is when you start, especially at these market caps, 10% is a lot of money on the floor. So I'd rather stay within range than be the guy that's trying to be known for, like, oh, he called the top, oh, he called the bottom. I don't care about clout. Clout don't put money in my pocket. Clout don't really put food on my table. It works for other people, but I haven't figured out how to monetize clout. I figured out how to monetize these coins. I figured out how
Mm,
to sell. Click a button here and there to pay some bills. That's what I figured out. So I'd rather be within the range than risk the gravy train, and just so I could be known as the guy that's right. I was hit with this question about 4 or 5 years ago. It was like my boy was like, "Do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? Because you can't be both." And I was like, "Yeah, you can." Like, I'm so arrogant. I'm like, "Yeah, you can, of course." And then things unfolding. He's like, "Oh shit, you're right. You're right." Because even if I were to call a type, ain't no liquidity at the top anyway to offload the bag. So what do you want to be, right or rich? It still sticks in my head to this day.
yeah, man. But dude, let's put a nice ribbon on this.
Yeah,
I was saying to you before the show, like, yeah, if we don't need to go full hour. Yeah, I'm like up to the gills in sushi. But here we are, an hour and 8 minutes. Man, we always chop it up. Like, I feel like we can keep going, but let's save some more gas in the tank for tomorrow night. If you're coming,
yeah.
it's gonna be a party, and then of course next week as well. But before we close out, do you have any final words to leave us with?
Swiper.xyz. Click on Base Junkies referral code. Swiper, the first of its kind, an AI prediction assistant, an app that really is coming alive right before your eyes. I'm really happy to be a part of this movement and just to be a handhold into the direction of where we're going with it. And yeah, I'll definitely guys see you tomorrow. Appreciate everything you guys do. And of course, stay locked in next week, same time, same place, as we keep giving you the raw, uncut alpha. And we're going to get into all of the stuff, good or bad, that happens that week of crypto.
Absolutely. Never a dull day in crypto. I want to give a special shout out to Monville. Thank you both for an amazing space. Appreciate you both. Have to jump on another space. Monville is such a legend. Honestly, like she when Nikita was being really strict in censoring each
Oof.
other. I wouldn't see my friends' posts. Mumville was there holding it down, tagging me in like friends' spaces, like, hey, if you're around, you come in. So she's a real one for sure. And
No, yeah,
guys,
man, I'm really happy that Nikita Dragon let off the leash. I still don't see everybody on my timeline, but then again, I'm being a little bit disconnected. But I have noticed
it's
seeing
build season. It's build
Yeah.
season for sure.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
100%.
Well, look, keep swiping, and I'll share my ref link for swiper.xyz. Join the program. Get with the program and see what Tora and the team are cooking up this year. Now, all right, we'll see you tomorrow night. We'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, but most importantly, stay based. Peace out.
I'm a baseline junkie. I'm a baseline junkie. Tell him again. I'm a baseline junkie. Tell him again. And I like it funky.